Algebra 1, welcome to Chapter 5, Lesson 3. In this lesson, we're going to be solving multi-step inequalities. These are just like multi-step equations. What our goals are is I can solve linear inequalities with more than one operation. So multi-step means more than one step. More than one operation is going to be happening that we're going to have to get rid of. I can solve inequalities involving distribution. So hopefully you guys remember distribution. So we're going to be looking at some problems that have variables on both sides. We're going to look at problems that have parentheses, and we're solving those. And we're going to be looking at problems that we're solving by doing distribution. So let's go ahead and start this lesson. All right, guys, for our first example, we're going to be solving this multi-step inequality. And what we're going to do first is we're always going to draw a line through the inequality sign. Now, we do still need to keep in mind some of the rules that we learned in the previous lesson with multiplication and division. Whenever multiplying or dividing by a negative, we will have to flip our inequality sign, so make sure you remember that rule. We're going to treat this like we've done problems in the past, so we've kind of put our hand on the variable because our goal is to get that variable by itself. We look at the variable, we see 11, and we see 13. So we need to ask ourselves, do we get rid of the 11, which is multiplying by d, or do we get rid of the 13? And hopefully you guys are thinking 13, because we always get rid of a number that's not with the variable first. So we're going to get rid of 13. And if it's not with the variable, then that means we're going to get rid of it by adding it or subtracting it. So we're looking at 13. If I add it, I'd get 26, so that wouldn't go away, so I have to subtract 13. And if we subtract 13 from one side, subtract 13 from the other. 13 minus 13 cancels out. We have negative 11. D is greater than or equal to 66. So this is where we're at. Now, this looks just like the previous lesson, Chapter 5, Lesson 2. This is solving an inequality that involves multiplication. And we know to get rid of multiplication, we do division. So we're going to divide by negative 11. Divide by negative 11. And again, the key word is we're dividing by a negative 11. So since we're dividing by a negative, we're going to have to flip our sign. 66 divided by 11, that's 6, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So our answer is negative 6. Now this says check your solution, so this means that we want to use a number that's less than negative 6, make sure we get a true statement. So a number that's less than negative 6, I'm just going to go ahead and use negative 10. Well, negative 11 times negative 10, that's a positive 110. 110 plus 13, that's 123, and 123 is greater than 79, so that's a true statement. Now, I'm going to use a number bigger than negative 6. I'm just going to use 0. 0 is an easy number. 11 times 0, that's 0. 0 plus 13, that's 13. 13 is not bigger than 79, so this definitely is true. As long as the number is less than negative 6, we're going to have a true solution. If that number was bigger than negative 6, like 0, we would have a false solution. So we checked our answer, and we're good to go. Let's go ahead and do another example just like this. For example 2, we're going to be solving this inequality. We have negative 8y plus 3 is greater than negative 5. Now this one just asks us to solve it, so we draw a line through our inequality sign, and we're going to put our pen, our pencil on the letter y, or the variable y. When we need to get rid of the negative 8, which is multiplying by y, and we need to get rid of the plus 3. Again, we always get rid of the number that doesn't have the variable, so we're going to get rid of the plus 3 first. Well, to get rid of a plus 3, we subtract 3. Subtract 3. 3 minus 3 cancels out. We have negative 8y is greater than. Now, this one is usually the ones that I'd like you to type in your calculator. A negative 5 minus 3 more is actually, if you typed it in your calculator, you'd get negative 8. A lot of students will think that's 2, and that's going to be an incorrect answer. So we need to make sure that sometimes we check the negative ones. Our goal is still to get y by itself, so now we need to get rid of this negative 8. And that negative 8 is multiplying by y, so to get rid of multiplication, we do division. This cancels out, and we get y, and the number we're dividing by is a negative, Since we're divided by a negative, we have to flip the sign. A negative divided by a negative, that's a positive. 8 divided by 8 is 1. Y is less than 1 is our answer. Alright, algebra. So we're on example 3. We're going to be solving this type of problem. This is a multi-step problem that involves distribution. The reason why I know it involves distribution is I have parentheses and I have a number next to parentheses. So we need to remember this. But we also can see that there is a variable on the right side and there's a variable on the left side of the inequality, because if we draw a line through, we can see our two sides. So in this case, this is where we usually do this. Our steps. The first step is distribute. So we're going to distribute. So first step, we're just going to distribute the number that's next to parentheses. 3 times 2, that's 6. And 3 times, and if you think about this, this is a negative c. So if I wanted to, I could put a 1 there. 3 times a negative 1, that's a negative 3. So this is a negative 3c. Then we drop everything else down. We have 6c plus all of this is greater than or equal to a negative 2c plus 1. So we just did the distribution part. The next step is to combine anything that can go together on either side. These cannot go together because a variable cannot go with the number. On this side, I see 6c's and I see a negative 3c's. Those can go together. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine those. So the second step is to combine like terms. So these are called like terms because they have the same variable. So I cover this up, and now it looks like it's saying 6c minus 3c. Well, 6c's take away 3c's is 3c's. Then we have plus 6 is greater than or equal to a negative 2c plus 1. So we combined our like terms. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the variable that's smaller. So third step, since we have variables on both sides, we have a c over here and a c over there, we're going to get rid of the smaller variable. So we look at the two variables. We have 3c's and we have a negative 2c's. Well, negative 2c's is actually smaller than 3c's. So we're going to get rid of negative 2c. And to get rid of this, we just do the opposite of what we see. Well, I see a negative 2c, so we're going to add 2c. And if we add 2c to one side, we add 2c to the other side. This is going to cancel out because it equals nothing. We have 1 on that side. 3c plus 2c, that's 5c. So our problem really is 5c's plus 6 is greater than 1. Well, now this is just a two-step problem, and we do this just the way that we've done problems earlier. We put our finger on c, and we look at it. We got to get rid of 5, we got to get rid of 6, but we're going to get rid of 6 first. So to get rid of 6, we subtract 6. Subtract 6. We have 5c's is greater than or equal to 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Now, we want to get c by itself by getting rid of this 5, and that 5 is multiplying, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to divide by 5. Now, we're dividing by positive 5. C is going to be greater than or equal to a negative 5 divided by positive 5 is a negative 1. C is greater than or equal to negative 1 is our answer. Now, think about this. What we did in this problem was the first thing we did is distribute. That's step 1. The next thing we did is we looked for things that we can put together. That's called combining like terms. The third thing is if we have variables on both sides, we want to get rid of the variable that's smaller by doing the opposite of whatever that variable is doing. So we got rid of a negative 2c by adding 2c. The fourth thing, we're back on to a two-step equation. We get rid of the number by itself, and then we get rid of the number with the variable, and we get our answer. That's how we're going to solve these types of problems that involve distribution. We're going to follow the steps, and we're going to solve them. let's go ahead and do another example. All right, in example 4, what we're going to do is we're going to solve another problem that involves distribution. Before you begin, we see a minus, and then we see a parenthesis, but we don't see anything next to the parenthesis. So if we don't see anything next to the parenthesis, this is where we want to put the number 1 next to the parenthesis. So if there's nothing next to the parenthesis, make sure you put a 1 in that place, because we do see 2 minus 3p one time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to follow the steps. First step, distribute. Second step, get rid of combine like terms. And third step, get rid of the smaller variable. So first thing we're going to do is distribute. 2 times p, well, that's a negative 2. Negative 2 times p is negative 2p. Negative 2 times negative 4. Negative and a negative make a positive. 2 times 4, that's 8. So on the left side, we have 3p minus 2p plus 8 is less than p, negative 1 times 2, that's negative 2, and negative 1 times negative 3, that's a positive 3p. So this is where we're at. We just did distribution. Next step is we're going to combine the like terms. So we look at these both have p's, so 3p's take away 2p, that's 1p. So on the left side, we have 1p plus 8 is less than, well, this is 1p, so I put a 1 there. And I can combine 1p and 3p because they're adding, because I see the adding sign here. 1 plus 3, that's 4. So I have 4p, and I still have take away 2. So here's where we're at. We just combined like terms. Third step is we're going to get rid of the variable that's smaller. So we're looking at this. Well, we have 1 and we have 4. The smaller variable is 1. So I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign or the inequality sign. And I'm going to get rid of this 1. Well, to get rid of 1, I subtract 1. Subtract 1. This is going to cancel out. I have 8 is less than 4p minus 1p is 3p. Now, I still have that negative 2. Now I want to get p by itself, so now we're solving this like a two-step problem. If we want to get p by itself, we're either going to get rid of 3 or the negative 2. Well, first we have to get rid of the negative 2 by adding 2. So we add 2. This cancels out. We have 3p is greater than 8 plus 2 is 10. And now the last thing we got to do if we want p by itself is we're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. This cancels out. And p is greater than 10 divided by 3, and I can leave it as 10/3 as one of my answers. Or if I wanted to, I could change this to a mixed number. It's going to be p, and again, it was opening up towards p. P is greater than 10 divided by 3 is 3 and 1/3. Either one of these answers would be correct. So 10/3 is less than p, or p is greater than 3 and 1/3. Alright, in example 5, we're going to look at special solutions that can happen. So we're going to solve this, and we're going to see that there's a special solution that's going to happen. And we're either going to get a true statement or a false statement. So let's go ahead and first distribute this like we would a normal problem. So we're just going to go ahead and distribute. Negative 7 times k is negative 7k. Negative 7 times positive 4, that's negative 28. We still have plus 11k is greater than or equal to 8k. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4k. And negative 2 times positive 1, that's negative 2. So this is where we're at. We just did distribution, first step. Hopefully that's pretty easy. We're just multiplying. I'm going to draw a line through my inequality sign, and I'm going to combine like terms. So on the left side, I see that a negative 7 and a positive 11 can go together, and that is going to be a positive 4k. So we have 4k minus 28 is greater than or equal to, now I can do these, 8k minus 4k, because they both have k. 8k minus 4k, that's 4k minus 2. So here's what we're going to be looking at. Notice right now that we have 4k and we have 4k. So if we go to our next step after combining like terms, which is get rid of the variable that's smaller, we're going to see something that happens. Because both of these variables are the same, we have to get rid of them. So to get rid of 4k, we subtract 4k. And if we subtract 4k from one side, we subtract 4k from the other. This cancels out. We have negative 28 is greater than or equal to negative 2. Because on both sides, a 4k minus 4k is nothing. So looking at this statement, we have negative 28 is greater than or equal to 2. A negative 28 is bigger than or equal to negative 2? That's a false statement. Since the statement is false, that means that this is called a null set. You could write a 0 with a line through it, or you can say that this problem has no solution because it's a false statement. Negative 28 can never be bigger than or equal to negative 2. And since we get a false statement, no solution is the answer. In example 6, we're going to be doing another problem, and we're going to see another type of solution. So far we've learned how to solve two problems that we just multi-step. We learned how to solve two problems that involve distribution, combining like terms, getting rid of variables on both sides, and then solving multi-step inequalities. And then now we've looked at a special rule where there's only no solution. So now this one's going to be even different than that. So let's pay attention on how we solve this. We're going to do the same steps here. We're going to distribute. 2 times 4, that's 8r. 2 times 3, that's positive 6, is less than or equal to 22 plus 8 times r, that's 8r, and 8 times negative 2, that's negative 16. So distribution, that's what we get. Next step, combine like terms. So I'm going to draw a line through to make sure I can look at sides. There's nothing alike on the left side, so we're good on the left. On the right side, we have 22. It doesn't have a variable. And we have negative 16. That doesn't have a variable. So I'm just going to cover this up, and now it looks like it says 22 minus 16. So our problem really is 8r plus 6 is less than or equal to, well, 22 minus 16, that's 6, and we still have 8r. So if you're looking at this, we see 8r, we see 8r. We see 6, we see 6. And if we go to the next step, which is get rid of our variable, we're going to subtract 8r, and 8 minus 8 cancels out, 8 minus 8 cancels out, and so the statement we're looking at is 6 is less than or equal to 6. So we're looking at this statement, is 6 less than or equal to 6? And in this case, 6 is equal to 6. Since that's a true statement, instead of it being no solution, this has infinite solutions. So since it's true, it's infinite solutions. Now you could say that the answer is also all real numbers. Because infinite solutions mean that you can use any number that is real. Alright, and that's the answer to this problem. So that's it for today's lesson. You learned how to solve multi-step problems. You learned how to solve problems that involve distribution and variables on both sides. And the last two things that we looked at is how to be able to tell if something has no solution or if it has infinite solutions. Now, think about the previous ones though. We actually didn't get rid of the variables. And so since we didn't get rid of the variable, we always found one solution. But now that the variables are gone, we either have no solution or infinite solutions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's not too long for you, and I will see you tomorrow.